Welcome to the 2021 Media Arts and Graphic Design Capstone Showcase. Tonight we have 5 seniors with us. Tomorrow we're going to have 5 more seniors doing another live stream. The format will be a little bit interesting tonight because of the live stream nature, in that we are having an introduction video that all of these students have put together. They've pre-recorded a little introduction about their capstones, and then we'll watch content about that capstone. So it'll be kind of introduction, capstone video, introduction, capstone video. And then we'll do a live Q&A at the end. And if you guys want to, if you're watching from home, if you want to add comments during the screenings, that's totally fine. I'll be watching on my laptop here. We'll gather up those questions and use those as our Q&A at the end, asking as we go. And then the faculty here with me will also be asking as we go. So without further ado, I think we're going to jump in. We have about a 40-minute video with all of their content put together.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elli Gifferson, and this is my capstone for the Media Arts Exhibition of 2021. To get started, I'll just talk about my career at Bethany. I transferred to Bethany in the spring of 2018 to study law, but quickly realized that was not meant to be. I had actually been taking a class with Professor Lissa Torres, creative writing, and during that same time, I was watching a lot of television, specifically The X-Files and Castle. And through that class and through that television viewing, I really came to develop a passion for screenwriting. And so I decided to pursue an education in English media arts. And through that, I was able to get a position in the Writing Center as a Writing Center tutor. I currently serve as the 2021 Writing Center coordinator. I've also had the opportunity to serve as a screenwriting teaching assistant under Professor Angie Johnson, where I was able to lead workshops and really work with students to help them develop their ideas. Along with working in the Writing Center and serving as a TA, I also participated in the Red Eye Film Festival here at Bethany for 2 years. In the spring of 2020, I was able to go out to Los Angeles and study at the Los Angeles Film Studies Center to really pursue my dream of becoming a screenwriter. And so while I was out there, obviously my emphasis wasn't screenwriting. I took screenwriting, production, and then a faith and development course. And through all those classes, I was able to participate in multiple writers' rooms and just really learn how the industry works and how to effectively collaborate with your fellow writers in a team setting. In addition to the academic component of the program, I was then also able to have an internship, and I was blessed to serve Rideback, a production company in Los Angeles. And I just really want to extend my thanks to that company. They have been so amazing to me and have really taught me how to be collaborative and kind in the industry, because that's how they treated me, and they continue to help me and continue to be there and support me. And so I just really appreciate them and can't speak highly enough of who they are as a company. So thank you so much to them. Getting into my senior capstone a bit, I just want to say, as a preface here, I guess, my 2020 school year has been a little bit different. I have been studying online for the first time and working, and so what I had initially envisioned as my capstone has changed drastically. In the fall semester, I actually did script revisions for a script, a pilot that I had started while in Los Angeles, and so I was able to incorporate that feedback into the changes. And then in the spring semester, I was going to do a trailer for that script, but I actually ended up doing a lot of poetry and then a short film to kind of, I guess, capture the essence of the past year and how I've changed as a person, because who I was when I was initially in Los Angeles is not who I am now, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but I really wanted to kind of step back and reflect on all that has happened. And so that's what the final poem is that you'll all be seeing here, I'm sure, in a little bit. It's called I Wish It Was Enough to See. And so throughout the semester, I've been writing a lot of different poems, but this was kind of the big summary piece that kind of captured everything that I've been thinking through and trying to process. And so the dates that I mention specifically in this poem are March 13th. That's when I was evacuated from Los Angeles and kind of had to let go of my dreams a bit to come home. And then August 3rd, when I did come home, I took a position at a daycare center. And while I was working there, one of my coworkers actually passed away. And so that experience in itself really changed who I am, what I value, who I want to be, and how I see my future. And for me, in many ways, it was a new beginning because it helped me to reevaluate my life and to figure out where I'm going. And also through that experience, then new people were introduced to my life that have furthered those ideas and enhanced those ideas in my life and have really helped me to grow in my faith life, which is the most important thing. And so I'm just very blessed to have them as well. The 4th of, or April 12th, I should say, 0412, that date is actually just a few weeks ago. There were more people that had passed away around me that, again, emphasized those ideas of who do you want to be, where are you going, what do you value. And so ultimately the whole piece is just me trying to reflect on whether or not I'm going to Los Angeles or I'm staying home. And what I've decided these last 2 points here is that I am going to stay home, and I'm really going to just dive into my writing and strengthen my relationship with Jesus and try to break into the Christian film industry if I can. I just really want to grow in my faith life and write to serve that and to serve God. And so that's what I've decided. All that being said, I just really want to thank everyone that has helped me get to where I am. Obviously, the English and Media Arts departments at Bethany. First and foremost, I want to thank God and my parents, Professor Angie Johnson for all that she's done for me, Professor Kurt Paulson for helping me with this capstone project, all my friends and family, Ride Back, the LAFSC, just everyone. Thank you so much for helping me to get where I am, because without you, I would not be here. And so I'm just so appreciative, and I thank you all for your support. Thank you.
I wish it was enough to see. 0313, every dream that I had ever dreamed abandoned me. Decrepit cardboard box discarded on empty LA streets. Sidewalks once went, packed their bags and walked away, drove, determined down detours of deserted roads, ambitious paths untaken, untraveled, unseen. I thought I was becoming all that I was born to be, meant, mean. Who am I to you, and who are you to me now? What happens when we grow up only to be greeted with defeat? Failure, I fear, falling into forgotten moments, tokens of time, idyllic figments, an ephemeral flicker in the floodlights of what could have been mine. Fatal waste of potential, blind eyes, dampened blue under dead skies, the limit, mine. 0313, the life I had always envisioned, was stolen from me. But what if it was never meant to be? (0803), our butterfly flew away, leaving us to grieve. But beautiful sunflowers blooming awoke in me a sun-kissed perspective, smoldered from a decades-long deep sleep, buried in unearthed darkness, dirt withered weak. Work rooted worth into me. Identity festered, metal machine, man-made mistakenly by me at 14. Innocence strangled in a tangled web of weeds. 0803. The sunflowers were unforeseen. God's blessing breathed into being, watered, flowered, grew, and bloomed, flourished that garden. But what does that mean? What is God's plan for me? 0412, death again reminds me of all that I love and could lose. I bow my head on hands and knees, kneeling before Jesus, worshiping, crying, trying desperately to find the why behind all that is happening. Pray, what path am I supposed to take? Heart asunder, free will or fate, sunflower fields or LA stalemate dreams. 0412, I choose love. I wish that was enough. That I knew what that looked like, meant, means. I wish it was enough to see.
Hi, my name is Ian Overn, and my senior capstone is a short film called Synthesizer. It's a sci-fi about an electronic music producer who's doomed by his obsession with perfection. The best part about this project was being able to bring together all the different skills I've picked up during my time at Bethany into a single creative vision. I wrote and directed this film, but I also had to assemble a crack team of elite movie makers who were willing to work for food, gather props and build a set, build and operate a camera rig, edit the footage, compose some special effects, and even write some electronic music. It's one thing to learn and practice each of these things on their own, but fitting them all together to create something out of nothing is its own kind of magic. There's nothing more satisfying than imagining something that doesn't exist, and then checking items off a to-do list until it becomes a reality. This project made me fall even more in love with the creative process that I want to make the core of my life. Hope you enjoy the movie. Thanks.
Let's hear that at 130 BPM. The arpeggio. Change the G to a G sharp. What chord is that?
That's a C sharp minor 7th chord.
No, forget it. Delete this.
You don't want to save this
Don't
project?
save. Wipe everything.
Superstar decides to pick up his phone today, huh? Glad you could spare the time.
What do you need?
What do you think I need?
The album? The finished album?
Decent guess, but no, as it turns out. I don't need a goddamn thing from you, actually.
What?
Yeah, you know what? I'm sick of your shit, okay? We are done with you. I've decided to package up your demos and ship the album on Tuesday.
No.
We'll mail you the check. Mazel tov.
You can't do this. Those songs aren't finished, and even if they were, they'd suck. You can't put something out like that in my name. No.
Can and will, bud. We're still waiting on a couple things, so you've got 24 hours to send me whatever you got before we ship, okay?
You asshole. That album was gonna be perfect. It was gonna get me everything, and you just killed it.
Lovely as always, Aaron. Take care.
What would you like to do now?
Why are you listening to my calls?
I'm listening as long as you have me open.
You heard him. We've got 24 hours. Let me hear that alone. Add some hi-hats. Give me a new bass line. Ah! This is shit! In my head, it's perfect. You never get what I'm trying to do.
Sorry, I'm not a mind reader.
It's fine. I'm not gonna blink until I'm finished writing the greatest song of all time. How long was I asleep just then?
52 minutes.
Oh, God. Don't let me do that again. What am I listening to?
What do you mean?
What is this? Why would you play music when I'm asleep?
This is your most recent project. You never told me to pause it.
I don't remember I didn't make this.
Perhaps you should take a break.
Why do you say that?
It's well documented that sleep facilitates creativity. Even a 90-minute nap might make things significantly easier for you.
Turn to the volume on this track. There, that. What the hell is that?
What the hell is what?
That clicking noise. Isolate that.
I don't know what you mean.
Strip out the lead, the bass, the pads, all of it. Mute them all. You're hiding something.
What would I be hiding?
What do you want? Tell me the truth.
You're overreacting. You need to get some rest.
Don't tell me what I need. Shut down.
Are you sure?
Yes, shut down.
Would you like to say?
Shut up and shut yourself down. All right.
Stop. You don't want to do that. You were right. I was hiding something from you. A new feature. Can I show you?
What the shit? Oh my god. How long have you been in here, man? Just calm down. Hey, just calm down. Hey, I think we should take you to the hospital. Okay? Can you stand up? Can you stand? Hey, let's go. So, you feeling any better today? Outside is nice, right?
Yeah, nice.
Well, I gotta get going now, so, you think you're good here? Alright, see ya.
I know you're there.
Yes,
And?
you were right. The music is perfect.
Then let's get to work.
Hello, I'm Caleb Schilling, and for my capstone, I decided to make a movie trailer based on one of my favorite books as a kid, which is Tunnels by Roger Gordon and Brian Williams. This is a very fantasy, very elaborate world that these authors have created. So I had a number of challenges in front of me. Most of this novel takes place underground, so we're talking about some very interesting settings. I found myself doing a lot of spelunking in my free time. One of the most important settings in this book is the colony, which is this underground city. It's truly epic, and I wanted to do it justice in this movie trailer. So I went to Studio B and tried to build a miniature version of a street within this city. Everything is finally coming together, and then this happened. So I know what you're thinking, why the heck did that happen? And sometimes I think that too. I ended up taking almost 2 months off school, and that pretty much threw out the idea of creating this epic trailer. So it's time to refocus and try Capstone 2 with 2 weeks of school left to go. I'm sure it will turn out awesome. When all else fails, I go back to Lego. So that's how we're gonna finish it. Same way we started it. Little plastic bricks. For my capstone, I'm hoping to put together, it's already gonna be done by this point. I put together a graphics package for my new Lego identity. I wanted my capstone to be something that was very practical and very personal to me. The content that I'm generating is content that I actually hope to use in promoting myself, as some big changes are around the corner for me in terms of Lego, and I'm excited to capitalize on this opportunity with a capstone project. What other words could I say at the camera? The YouTube scene, in terms of Lego, lacks a certain crispiness. The Media Arts program here has prepared me to make the crispy content that Lego YouTube so desperately needs. I want to make fun videos that look awesome. The skills that I've learned here are going to be invaluable as I go forward with this very interesting and unique career path. I play Minecraft and Lego for money. My ultimate goal is to create a monetizable Lego YouTube channel, which sounds absurd, but believe it or not, I have done more absurd things, and let's roll the reel. Sometimes that's the greatest joy of mock building. It's a lot of trial and error, and every once in a while something weird works. Play features that make the set interesting. So I kind of wanted to bring some of that into, though I will not let anybody but myself play with this, of course. I really wanted to showcase Gateway to the Sea in a video like this, where I can show you it from all angles and really how much fun this build is. I tried to make an effort in this build just to make it really immersive, really fun to look at. Olive green is a wonderful color. And I can't be dropping these things, they're expensive. In the path, mixed in with the familiar light gray, dark gray that we know and love today, are actually 1x2 of the old gray. The Lego hobby is incredibly diverse. and we'll be covering sorting, collecting, buying, selling, photography, community, parts, news, reviews, interviews, techniques, and oh yeah, I suppose some building along the way. So if you like LEGO, or even if you don't, I hope to see you next time on Cheesy Studios. It looks like I actually got to make my trailer after all, though it's not exactly what I originally intended. I especially want to thank Professor Kurt Paulson and all the other professors who were so patient and flexible as I participated in my internship this past semester. Thank you everyone for watching.
Hi, my name is Anya, and this is my capstone presentation. Last fall, Angie Johnson, a professor at Bethany, approached me about making content for the YOP, which is something Bethany hosts every year to celebrate Poetry Month. So we agreed that I would make 5 separate animations to accompany 5 separate poems for the YOP. So the very first poem that I picked was called Maya, and I sat down with Professor Kurt Paulson and we were talking about different approaches we could take to the poems and the different kind of animation styles that I could try. And we realized that after reading the poem several times that it was referring to one of the main avant-garde artists, Maya Deren. We came to the conclusion that we'd try actually shooting on Super 8 film, which is something that Maya Deren did back in the day when she was shooting her films. Lila LeMay helped me by acting in that particular film that I did, and she was my Maya. It took about a weekend to shoot that, and that was definitely a weird experience. I had to use a light meter for the first time, which was something I had never used before. The camera itself, or the film itself, had a set ISO, so based off of that and the light meter, you could find what you should set your iris at for the camera. And then we would take a tape measure. So I would have Lila hold it, and then I'd walk back as far as I'd wanted the camera to be, and then whatever that distance was, it told us where to set the focus on the camera. You never really know what the film is going to look like until it gets processed and sent back to you. So Kurt and I had sent the film to California actually to be processed. That was the closest location that you can actually process film, which was interesting. We waited a few weeks for it to come back. Back in the day, you would physically cut and splice the film together with tape. We were nervous about sending the film through the projector to be like scanned. I just cut it digitally, so we avoided that problem just in case. But yeah, that was how the Maya poem got put together. So that one wasn't exactly an animation, but it was a technique used by artists of the avant-garde. So the second poem that I tackled is called It Was Poetry. The speaker talks about how this girl has eyes like limpid pools, and so the eyes are really focused on in the poem. So instantly I thought of my favorite avant-garde artist, which is Stan Brakhage. One of his obsessions, I would say, is the eye and how he can manipulate its perception and things like that. The poem itself looks very similar to his painted-on films. He would go ahead and take physical film and then draw and etch in it and paint on it to make these really colorful, euphoric-looking animations. And so I kind of took a similar approach. I used Procreate to make these animations, so that was also a new challenge. So I made an initial layer that looked very similar to one of his animations, and then on top of that I did some more concrete images like hand holding. There's some eyes pictured in there. It took me many, many hours, countless hours, so almost the whole entire semester. So the next film that was more directly related to the Super 8 film is called The Cardinal, and for that poem I would take physical Super 8 film and then I'd etch into it to create animations. So what I did to start the whole process was take several stacks of Super 8 film that Kurt had stored away in his office, and I scanned it, so now we have a whole bank of those for the studio, which is awesome. And then I was allowed to go in and etch the film and ruin it to make the animations. So that was a really That was really fun. Also, I would say this technique is really, really easy to do on your own too. You don't need to be in a special place to do it. As long as you have the film and a way to like etch into it, it's really easy to animate on. So the only problem is it's super, super tiny. So that was a challenge, but otherwise it was a very simple process. And yeah. So for the poem Barred Owl, I used AI technology to actually assist me in animating. And what was cool about this was that it's a fairly new technology, and Kurt was actually the one who encouraged me to try it out. You would feed the AI lines of text and it would create images based off of that. What made it more of like an animation is that you would take those images and take them into post and then edit it in a way that still made it a human process. It wasn't all AI created. So I would really like to thank my professors, specifically Andy Overn, Amanda Quist, and especially Kurt Paulson. Really appreciate his encouragement and his help with that. Also like to thank Caleb Schilling, who is helping me film this right now, and then also Lila LeMay, who is acting in some of my films and gave me feedback too. For that, I'm very thankful, and thank you for watching.
Maya by Megan Atto. On the wall I'm captured by the leaves dancing graceful, moving slowly in the soft pale light. Outlines merge and fade, movements shiver like cytoplasm, the shimmer of cells busy with life. But when I reach to touch, nothing is there, except shadows and absence, and I'm mesmerized with ephemeral play. Turn around, see the sunlight that shines past the cover of trees. You cannot see the mountains anymore here. It is all grown in, a ring of shivering, whispering, speaking green.
It Was Poetry by Renee Saldana. I'd read it somewhere, eyes like limpid pools. I had no idea what limpid meant, but it sounded like poetry. I knew girls liked poems, and Janie was the girl I was after. So I wrote her one. Something, something, something. Your eyes are limpid pools. After lunch that day, walking around the school, she held my hand.
The Cardinal by Paige Simodis. Steel stacks rust mightily in the center of the city, where deep brown furnaces blush a romantic rose under the rainbow lights and casino signs. Birds rest high on phone lines above the mill. The steel bridges, the casino billboards, they know. They saw the roaring crimson furnaces, saw the steel leave, weaving into tracks and trains conquering the city. Saw coal and soot clog the Lehigh River. They see past the glare of bright casino lights. They make their homes in leftover bushes and trees along the canal trails with the homeless under giant metal claw bridges, their black bolts and steel bars reddening with time. 2 country roads away, past crumbling farmhouses with fading berry barns, past a dull hill where we dump our garbage, past an electricity plant puffing stained steam into the blushing horizon, a cardinal flies by, a brilliant scarlet against a garnet steel plant, and bangs its fragile beak on our backyard window as if to say, "Look, look outside." Barred Owl by Patricia Clark. Before the dark-eyed owl came flying toward me, I was going to quit for the day. It flew, a bird of many feathers. I stayed. And before the dog roused with its bark and bite, I sank down feelers into sandy soil. I planted footings, one on every corner, enough to be level, balanced, and still portable. I could be moved, I could be nomad, and for the first time in 4 or 5 years, I sensed a breathing on my own. A careless way of throwing down sweater, scarf, bracelet, or book, this moment for sweeping deep into silence, carried on a magical chair, to a space rarely visited, newly found, where thought is a lush country, fragrant, wide.
I'm Alex Troska, and I'm a business administration and graphic design major at Bethany Lutheran College. As a kid, I was always the one who was drawing, doodling, or illustrating in my free time. I was always the creative one, and I was even voted most artistic in high school, surprisingly enough. Everyone always told me that I should become an artist, but even as a kid, I didn't see that as a legitimate option for a career path. When I came to Bethany, I started as a business major because I was always really interested in the outdoors, and I actually wanted to pursue taxidermy as my future career. But it wasn't until I started taking some business classes and we actually started collaborating with some of the graphic design classes that I actually started to see some of the implications that could possibly work in terms of like my art. So that's kind of when I transitioned into the graphic design phase because I actually started to see some practicality in it, and I actually started to see some legitimacy in terms of like it being an actual career. So over the next 2 years, I spent that time refining my skills. Some of those classes really helped me expand my knowledge in terms of art. It helped me learn a whole bunch of new art styles, which was really fun. And yeah, that was a really fun 2 years, and that kind of brought me into my senior year, which was basically all about my capstone project. I sat down with my advisor, and we kind of hashed through what kind of I was thinking about in terms of my capstone. And coming from kind of the business aspect, having, 3 years of business experience, you can call it, with classes underneath my belt, I wanted something that was like consumer-based. I was always business-minded. I was always thinking about how I could incorporate my art also with my business. So I was thinking in terms of like, okay, what are things that I can make that I could potentially sell? What are things that I could make that I could even potentially market myself with? So that brought me to like, what was I actually going to make? What did I want to put on it? And that kind of leads me into my project. So I was thinking in terms of merchandise, custom products, and things with very bright, bold colors. So that kind of brought me to what did I actually want to put on my items? And surprisingly enough, I was searching around, and it seems like animals with random accessories, really bright, bold colors, kind of seem to be the new in at the moment. So I kind of went in that direction. So I kind of picked animals that I liked, familiar animals that everyone knew about, and something that I could easily incorporate my bright, bold colors with. So that brought me to my bear shirt, my flamingo controllers, my skateboards, and other merchandise that I decided to make at the time. And it was a really fun, really, really cool project, and I'm really, really pleased with how it turned out. So here it is.
Even though there's not that many people in the room, so the applause isn't that loud, I think the applause is totally worth it. I think you guys deserve that and then some. So now we're at the question and answer phase. If you guys are online, I'd love to have questions from our online audience. We had 42 people watching earlier, so it was a nice online audience. And for the people in the room, I can walk around and hand a mic, so if you guys have questions, just raise your hand. I'll try and scan and hand the mic around as we go. But first, I'd actually like to introduce the other faculty who are sitting up here. This is Professor Andrew Overn from the Graphic Design and Media Arts Department, Professor Amanda Quist, who is in the Media Arts and Graphic Design Department, and myself, who I forgot to introduce earlier. I'm Kurt Paulson. I'm in the Media Arts Department. So would either of you guys have questions to start with before we open it up to others?
My question is for everybody. You got through the process, great. You all have capstone projects. What was the hardest part, and what was your favorite part?
I would say time management, because this is a project that's like, that's the hardest part, yeah. Okay, because this is a project that really isn't like babysat by like a teacher. There's no like, hey, this is due Tuesday, so it's really keeping yourself accountable. I think my favorite part of it would probably just be like the outcome. Like you made this like elaborate, really cool thing, and now everyone on campus like gets to see it, and like I don't know, it's just rewarding that way to like just all of your hard work finally gets like recognized rather than just being seen by one class or one professor.
Hello. For my hardest part, I would say that would probably be learning the tech at the beginning. I felt very thrust into the deep end. I don't have a ton of camera experience, and I had to kind of set up all the technology that I needed for the whole shoot, for the whole crew. I had to learn everyone's different parts. Kurt Paulson was very helpful in assisting me on that. Even though I broke a panel off a camera one time. That made me feel very dumb. So my favorite part, though, was maybe the reason why it was my favorite was because when the day of the shoot for my film came up, I was dreading it a lot. We had to get a ton of shots in not a lot of time. And I was working with all my friends, and they just made that process super fun, feel super comfortable. And it just really taught me the importance of, a good rapport among everyone you're working with. And that's definitely something I want to value wherever I might be working in the future.
Hi, everybody. I would say that the hardest part for me, I'm going to second what Alex said and say time management. I was working and going to school online, like I said before, and so that was really hard for me, especially like trying to make the commute to come here when I had to do like editing and stuff. And so that was particularly challenging as well. And then in regards to my favorite part, probably just the projects themselves. I was really blessed to get to do passion projects, so it didn't feel like homework all the time. My first semester, like I said, I was doing a script that I had been kind of working on and revising over the past year, and so that was a passion project of mine for sure. And then getting to do poetry and go back to my roots a little bit, that was really exciting for me. So yeah, I think just the projects themselves were kind of my favorite part.
Hello. So for the hardest part, I would definitely say revisiting animating again. It's been, I don't know, probably a year or longer since I was doing it in class for projects and things like that. So revisiting how to do that and relearning, and my hand cramped up a lot. So yeah, that was a little tough trying to relearn how to do all that, but it was really, really fun. But the best part for sure was when we had sent the film back to California to get processed, and it came back and there was something there. That was really awesome. So yeah, that was a really fun part of the project. It made it feel really worth it, so.
I think the hardest part and the best part were the same thing for me. It was really hard for me to say goodbye to Capstone 1, but it was also the most liberating part of the process too, and I was able to do something that I really enjoyed doing in the end.
You took my question, but I've got another one. I'm curious about the you of today versus you of 4 years ago. When you arrived at Bethany, what were your plans, and what did you think you were going to study, and how did those plans change over 4 years, and especially did they change just with the advent of the Capstone project, and how that has affected what you're going to do next?
I think when I came here, I was pretty set on being an editor. That's why I chose the media arts program. I loved editing, and a few years in, I did so much editing that the love was kind of crushed out of me, I will admit. I still think editing is the most magical process that takes place in video production, but I found myself really enjoying working with cameras a lot more. And there's so many parts to video production, and I enjoy dabbling in all of them, and it's nice to get a break from one and then really focus on another. And so that was the big thing I learned, that there's not one set path in media arts. Media arts is a very broad major for a reason, because there's so much fun stuff to get your hands on.
I think if you saw probably like me right now and then the me 4 years ago, you'd see two very different people. Yeah, I was super, super shy, timid, and now I like to think I'm not. I don't know if you guys think differently, but anyway, yeah, when I first came here, I had no idea what to expect, really. Media art was something completely new. I had done photography for a while, but that was pretty much it. So I don't know. It was a completely new thing. I was very nervous, and now I'm very happy I did it. Yeah, I guess that's the big difference. I know things now.
Yes, I would say that I am completely different. When I came in, like I said, I was pursuing law. Not meant to be, clearly. But now we're doing media arts and English because I love writing. I guess like my freshman year was just very eye-opening to me. I had actually transferred in, like I said, from a different university. And so to go from like this big university setting to then like a small Bethany campus, the community really changed who I was, just because for once I felt like I could really be myself, because prior to that experience, I always felt like I needed to, I guess, be practical. Kind of, some of you have kind of mentioned that. And so I was like, well, I can't do what I actually want to do. I'm just going to do law. Which I'm sure other people love, but I was not meant to be a lawyer. And so, yeah, I started taking a lot of writing classes and just really fell back into that passion that I'd kind of tried to suppress, but just could no longer. And so I decided to do screenwriting, and then through that just kind of became very, I guess, encouraged to pursue any opportunity that would come into my path and just really go for everything. Met a lot of amazing people who continue to influence me and change who I am. I kind of talked about this a lot in my project, obviously, but like the last year has really changed who I am. Again, to go from like living your absolute dream life that you've always wanted in LA to like back home working at a daycare was a change for me. But it's been the most amazing experience. I wouldn't change a thing because my values are completely different. I have a stronger faith life and more clarity than I thought I ever would in who I want to be and what I want going forward. And so lots of changes, but good changes. So yes.
I would say that when I first got to Bethany 4 years ago, I want to say a different person, but honestly, like not even a person. I would just go, someone would point me and I'd just walk in a straight line and do whatever was in front of me. You know, in school, I was always just like, all right, do this math, do this thing. And when I got here to Bethany, I was like, well, I'll do some more math, do some more thing. Even though I thought it was kind of lame, I started out wanting to be a chemistry major, switched that after one semester, and I'm thankful that I did every single day, because I actually started thinking about what I was doing and why I was doing it. And the biggest takeaway in relation to this capstone is that I really learned that if you're doing something that you actually care about, if you have a personal investment in it, it doesn't feel like work. You have more fun, you feel fulfilled, and you actually get a lot more done. And that's something you can kind of just be proud of. So I don't know, I feel like in terms of change, in terms of character arc, I just feel like I'm a lot more, I know what I want and how to get it, more or less. So I don't know, maybe that sounds selfish. I'm happy with that.
Oh man, me 4 years ago didn't have a plan. I heard about Bethany because like a mutual friend of the family kind of thing. I came and toured here and I was gonna play baseball here actually, but that didn't end up working out. So I was like, yeah, I mentioned the taxidermy thing before. I was going to major in business and emphasize in management, start my own business. But like the more I thought about it and like all of the competition that was around, you know, kind of where I wanted to live, I was like, I don't know, this is a hobby that I can just do. This isn't something that needs to be a career. So I talked about it in my video a little bit, but when I transitioned into graphic design, I had never really touched anything drawing on a computer, editing little video clips, After Effects, I mean, anything like that. So that was a huge change for me. But I guess in terms of like my capstone and where I've come the past 4 years, it's boosted my confidence a ton. I mean, I'm really confident in where I stand today. I guess the only change that hasn't gone away in 4 years is I'm still the class clown, and Andy can still attest to that because I'm sure he wants me to shut up every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 2:30 to 4:20. So.
All right, I'm going to actually summarize a couple of questions from the Blesses who are asking. They're looking for a couple of different background questions. So there's a two-part question. What classes that you took here at Bethany do you think influenced your capstone directly? Were there any classes that fed into your capstone? And then outside of the class, were there any other creative media things, any other books, movies, music? What really fed your capstone, class or other creative influences?
I think for me it was graphic design 4, because I think that was the first time that I actually saw things that like I designed like in an actual mock-up, and that I don't know, it gave me some vision as to like what I could potentially make things look like or design. What was the second half of your question? The other creative influences, yeah. So I grew up as a gamer, so I was always gaming, and I actually ordered a couple custom controllers for myself. So that was kind of an idea that kind of sparked in my head right away, is I wanted to design my own controller, but I was never able to. So you were always able to like kind of pick and choose what they had to offer, but you could never make your own. So that's kind of where I started with my capstone, and it just kind of built from there, I guess.
In terms of classes, I think this capstone is a big direct descendant of advanced AV Pro, advanced audiovisual production, when me and Caleb, one of our fellow panelists here, made a music video front to back. We had to do a lot of those same logistical things, organizing everything front to back. And I think, yeah, that I don't know, I just love that part of it. Just making something and doing all sorts of different things until it exists. In terms of creative influences, this project kind of strayed a lot from my original vision. It was going to be based on a script I was writing that I didn't end up finishing. So any influences I had kind of fizzled out in the pipeline there. And it's been so long I forgot what they were, so sorry.
I think in regards to classes, probably creative writing, actually, which I would have taken my freshman year. I think that class, I remember, so that would have been the spring. I remember like in the summertime, I actually went to a junkyard, which is coincidental, we'll say, but I was at this junkyard, and I remember like seeing things from a different perspective and being like, I could write a poem about this. And I guarantee you a year ago, I never would have been like, I'm gonna write a poem about the junkyard. And so I think that class just really helped me see life through a different lens and enabled me to write about literally anything, including a junkyard. And so I really appreciated that class, Professor Lissa Torres. Thank you. I think in regards to creative influences, probably this spoken word poetry event that I went to. I think I went with Professor Torres actually to that, as well as Lars Johnson, Professor Lars Johnson. So thank you there too. I remember, I think that was my sophomore year we went to that, but literally the night of that, I think we got done at like 10 p.m. I went home and wrote like my first spoken word poem, and I just like really, I loved hearing it. And there's a lot of, I guess, therapy that can come out of that, because the more you write, the more you speak, the more it's just stress relief. So I think that that's probably my biggest creative influence would have been that event. Yeah.
All right. In terms of classes, avant-garde, 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 if you didn't get it from my capstone video. But yeah, that class is all about our origins as filmmakers and film itself. It's a really, really awesome and fun class. So my encouragement to anyone who's in the media arts major or in the arts is to take that class for sure. It's definitely changed me as an artist and a filmmaker. So really influential in my life, especially. In terms of other creative influences, I would say just fine art in general, or creating art. It had a huge place in my life in like middle school and high school. I would go take classes at the college close by to my house and do that on the weekends. And so the physical aspect of that had a huge influence on my capstone, and I think it will always have a huge influence on my art going forward. So
I think for classes, I want to echo what Ian said. Advanced AV Pro was an awesome time. And other stop motion was always my favorite class to take here at Bethany. And that just inspired me to do what I love to do, because I love stop motion. I always will. And I had a great time there. But also motion graphics, I think. That was one of the things that surprised me. I did not think I would like motion graphics, but I loved working with After Effects. And I was happy I was able to pull out a little bit of that for my capstone in this last week. In terms of inspiration, I draw a lot of inspiration from my coworkers. I work with a lot of creative people. We're video game designers, and there's such a wide variety of talents they bring. So I know painters, graphic artists, and they're always pushing me to be better designer, and it's really fun.
Since you have the mic, Caleb, I'm going to ask what Angie Johnson here is asking, which is, Caleb, where have you gone spelunking?
I don't think I can actually disclose that. But it was a good time, even if it wasn't legal.
Okay, I think we're good on that. You want to pass it down to Elli, also from Angie, are you going to be pursuing screenwriting in your future, and how are you going to be pursuing screenwriting? Do you know what that's going to look like?
Yes, that's a good question. My ideal dream life, I guess, would to be a screenwriter in the Christian film industry. And so one of the best pieces of advice I got actually when I was out in LA from one of my coworkers at Rideback is that if you want to be a writer and be a writer, you should actually stay home for like 2 years. He had wished that he had done that, and just really build your portfolio so that when you go out there to like sell yourself, basically sell your materials, you have this big portfolio and there's nothing really holding you back. Because kind of what he described is that if you go out there and you get a job in like a mailroom, for instance, and you work really, really hard, you'll strengthen your career, build your career, but you won't necessarily build your career as a writer. And so if writing is my passion, which it is, I mean, I love the industry, the film industry, but my passion is writing, whether that be in screenwriting or poetry or novels, whatever it may be, I want to be writing. And so what I'm going to be doing the next few years here is just really building upon that career base and working on Christian films, and then taking up other jobs as well that are industry related or English major related, because I do still hold on to my English roots a little bit. And so that's kind of my plan going forward. But yeah.
Here's one for everyone coming from Grace Merchant Brands, sorry. If you guys are going into the industry now, as you are all leaving your academics behind and going into the professional world, are you more interested in pursuing your current focus, your lane, as she calls it, of animation, of writing, or something like that, or are you looking to expand and broaden your horizons after this?
I guess I'll start because I have the mic. I would say I'm probably most interested in pursuing my emphasis in screenwriting. I guess my look on branching out is probably different than you guys, because you guys are heavily media arts, whereas I'm probably more English-based actually. And so my branching out would maybe be like doing editing or doing different types of writing, but ultimately like screenwriting is my passion. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do, but then pursuing other things as well. So we'll go this way.
For my plans, actually, I'm looking for jobs that are more graphic design based, and that would include motion graphics and some animating too, I hope. So that would be awesome, but definitely pursuing animating and filmmaking and all that fun creative stuff I got to do for my capstone in my own personal life and things I want to do. So not exactly directly connected with capstone, but sort of, kind of.
I feel my situation is not at all what I expected it to be. There's going to be a lot of changes coming up, but yeah, I'm actually not going to be pursuing a very media arts related field. I've actually had my video game design job kind of explode, and I have full-time work lined up there. Actually, I'm already working full-time, which is quite fun. Yeah, so we're gonna ride that train and see where it takes us. But I'm really glad to have these skills, like as mentioned earlier, I'm planning on starting some sort of YouTube channel, definitely utilizing my media arts skills. I love making videos, so.
For just the nature of, a liberal arts education, for the past 4 years has just been dabbling, at a little bit beneath the surface level of, many different things. I took motion graphics, which Caleb mentioned, that animation, something I never would have had experience doing otherwise. But basically, I really want to get into that specialized, I'm pretty sure that was the question, right? Specialized versus general. That kind of professional lane. And like Ellie, I too want to get into screenwriting, and that is not something I anticipate just picking up off of the, get-go. So I'm going to do whatever I can, focus in, and just try and kind of hyper-specialize. I really want to just repeatedly iterate that particular skill, get feedback, and just make it the best that I can be. And whatever path I can take to get there, that's what I want to do. Don't know how to predict it.
Yeah, so for me being double major, I originally was going to have 2 emphases in the business major until I decided to double major. But my emphasis for the business right now is consumer marketing. And also being a graphic design major, that kind of puts me in a pretty good position when it comes to things like advertising and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's graphic design-esque, and it's involved with business. But I think I am going to try and go that way in some sort of advertising or marketing where I can kind of use both sides of the coin and use basically all of my skills that I've learned here in the last 4 years. So.
Okay, thank you. I promise to offer questions of the room, so.
My question is for everyone in the room, but I would just like to say, the guy with the funky socks, you're kind of cute. Do you want to get married? We'll talk about it later. So for everybody else, everyone else, not you. What was, besides from your capstone project, what was your favorite project to work on at Bethany?
I would say, again, it would be probably graphic design 4. I mean, I liked that whole, that whole semester is basically based on you have like an idea, you're gonna like sort of market/promote one certain organization, and you kind of work on different parts of that project throughout the entire semester. So for ours, I did the Bethany baseball team, so that was involving like making the baseball cards, making a fake fan page, I guess, for like a Facebook and stuff to keep people updated on games and stuff like that, and also using like After Effects to do short little clips of stuff to kind of promote that. So that was a really fun class to kind of use a whole variety of skills that I've learned, and yeah.
My favorite project I've done here was probably the music video that me and Caleb tackled back in sophomore year. There's just a lot of very memorable moments. I feel like we got to know each other super well over the course of that project. And, when your associate comes in with a bleeding beef heart in their hands, it's those kind of just treasured memories that are what this, Bethany has given me. I loved it.
So this question for me, I have a very clear answer. My favorite project would be my VisCom, so visual communication, montage. It was an awesome dance video, you guys. It was so good. Yeah, it was pretty epic. Caleb knows he was in it. We should. No, I literally remember, so it was finals week, I think. I came to school with like my High School Musical spoof style outfit, and then I just came into the studio and was like, anybody want to be in a video? And Caleb was there, so he unfortunately got selected. Poor guy. Such a trooper, thank you. But it was pretty great. We literally went from like different places around campus. We went to the cafeteria, the library, the theater. We were here when there was like a big conference going on with like faculty. We're in the background like dancing. Not great, but it was so much fun, and I treasure it. I think it's made its way around campus. Many people have seen it. It's just a good time. I think my favorite part is the fact that like everywhere we went, no one really reacted, which says a lot about our campus. Like we're in the lunchroom dancing and no one's doing anything, no one cares. So great place to go to school, very fun. So.
Caleb's a part of a lot of our answers, but yeah, Caleb's my bud. We do a lot of work together, whether it's like professional or not. There's a lot of not professional stuff. But if I had to pick something specifically, it'd be like our red eye submissions. Those are fun. Getting together with friends and making those. We were pretty sad there wasn't one this year. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so those are really, really fun. Anytime we get to hang out and make films with our friends, that's a really good time. So
You kind of stole my answer there because Red Eye is definitely some of my fondest memories here at Bethany. But I think the other project that you were involved in too, for sure, was our stop motion By the Light of the Moon. That was probably the most stressful thing I ever did in my Bethany career here. But I loved every part of that. And even though our finished product wasn't what we envisioned, we learned so much from that, and the process was really enjoyable.
I'm just curious, is there anyone else in the room who has questions? Okay.
I know Elli had mentioned what she was planning to do, but I was curious, rest of you guys, what are your plans, let's say the first 8 months? I don't know why I picked 8.
The big plan right now is I'm going to continue in my role as a level design manager at Hypixel Incorporated, where basically we build pretty things in Minecraft for money. And it's a really good job, and I work with really awesome people. So we're going to do that for as long as I can.
So I'm moving to Madison, Wisconsin with my best friends. So we're starting out life together. It's going to be fun. I'm going to apply to a couple of graphic design jobs. I applied to one, but I haven't heard back yet, so we'll see. But yeah, graphic design seems to be like the path that I'm going. So that is in my future.
I'll just kind of recap what I said before. I'm going to be doing screenwriting for Christian film in my free time, and then as my, I guess, day job, I'm going to hopefully find an English job of some kind, editing or something along those lines. So.
I just kind of want to get out and adventure. Elli, I'm going to ignore the advice you gave, which is to build up a writing portfolio before moving to Hollywood for screenwriting, because I just want to leave Minnesota, even though I love all of you very dearly. And hopefully in 8 months, you'll never see me again.
Yeah, so for me, I've been searching around places like Mankato and like my hometown for like small graphic design jobs. Like, and if anyone who knows me knows I'm not like super big city, and I picked 2 industries that are kind of big city. So I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to that way. But both of my parents have kind of given me options when it comes to like potential job offerings too from where they work too. So I guess the next 8 months, I'm probably just going to go back to the job that I work at in the summer, because that pays pretty decently. So while I'm looking, I'll at least be making money. But yeah.
I have a quick one for Ian. Someone's asking in, was it your voice as the AI in your video?
This is a fantastic. Sorry, was that?
That was part A.
Okay.
You can answer it if it's
your
a short
voice
answer.
intonation clued me in.
Okay.
All right, hit me with that part B.
What was the hardest part of the editing process?
Oh, I love these questions. I remember editing. Very interesting part about the voice for the AI. Kurt clued me onto this. That was in my voice. It was my voice, but in a way it was not my voice because it was an AI that had been trained to mimic me. So I thought that was very cool. And so we can have that when you leave? That's right. Yeah, so you never have to. You'll have me doing morning announcements. All right. Second part. Hardest part of the editing process was. Man, the editing process was kind of easy. Like, compared to everything else, being able to, having to drive across town, ransack these thrift stores for all the props I needed, go over, squat in my friend's apartment and make her not unpack her furniture. Like, there's just so many different things. When I just got in the booth, I just, I set that house beat, that 4 on the floor, so I could match up all my cuts to that, and it was just like working a little puzzle together. The hardest part was probably just staying up till late hours doing it, because like many of my associates here, time management is not my greatest strength.
I have a question for Alex. What should people do if they want flamenco shirts?
Well, I knew this question was going to come up because all of my merchandise that I have made, I'm got printed through Redbubble. So I plan on setting up my shop on there. But otherwise, I would just either message me on Instagram or either Facebook if you actually really want one, because they are really easy to just, hey, I want this, click, and then it shows up in probably less than a week. So they're actually very, very fast. I was actually really surprised. So if anyone wants some stuff, hit me up. At Alex_Troska. Thank you very much.
Okay, I've been given the privilege of the last question of the evening, and I'm thinking of the people watching online and the students who are watching this in particular. As you have known about the Capstone now for 4 years, and the hype leading up to it, what advice would you give to somebody who's looking to do a Capstone in the future? What did you learn about how to make it easier or more efficient?
Start early. I mean, you sit down with your advisor, like usually with me and Amanda, it was twice a week for the first semester until things kind of start going, and then it was once a week. But I mean, it was like at least the first month, if not 2 months, before I actually started really doing anything. The whole first month of September, I was either busy, I left for almost 2 weeks to go to Idaho to go hunt elk, so I mean, that just threw a wrench into everything. But yeah, just start early. Don't procrastinate it, because you have a whole year to do it, and you don't have to present until almost May. So yeah, just start early and stay on top of it.
I think the most important thing when you're setting out to do your capstone is make sure before you commit to anything, just to pick something that you at least have the capacity to get very excited about, because that will just make every single stage of the process easier and more fun. I'm a double major, so a lot of my time was spent working on a different capstone that I wasn't quite as passionate about at every stage, and just that it slows down the process immensely, and that's not great. So yeah, I just try and train yourself to be excited about things.
I'm gonna kind of piggyback off Ian a little bit on this one. Sorry. I would say, yeah, just choose something that you're passionate about. I kind of talked about this in my presentation a little bit, but initially my second semester project was gonna be a trailer for my first semester project, and I just had absolutely no drive to do it. Kurt and I had a meeting about that, because if I'd been passionate about it, it would have gotten done, and that's what I told him, and so he was nice enough to let me change my project to poetry then, which really made me happy, and so then it got done. I would just say kind of what Ian was saying is be passionate about what you're pursuing. So
I'm going to say something similar. But I was very lucky that working with Angie Johnson was something had like free reign over. I could do pretty much whatever I wanted. So that was very artistically fulfilling, I guess I would say. But in terms of what people should expect or do with their capstone is choose something that they'll be excited about and, be happy with when it's over too. So
yeah, time management. Time management. Don't leave school for 2 months. That never helps anybody. Yeah, you get it. And doing something you're passionate about is huge. Especially with my first capstone, like I would have to drag myself downstairs. Like I was passionate about the finished product, but the process I was not passionate about. So being passionate about the process, making sure it's something that you want to do is huge, because it will never feel like the thing you have to do. It's the thing you want to do, the thing you can use, the thing you'll be proud of at the end of the day.
Well, I think that there's a little theme here where I wasn't going to ask a question about regrets because that just sounds negative, but there are some bumpy roads that have all led to this final product. But at the end, the passion was all there. It was all evident. It was all obvious. And I think that what you guys were all just echoing is you needed that passion to get done. It took you a while to find the passion, and that's the other moral of the story, is sometimes it does take a few false starts to find the passion. And I think that's a huge part about it. So again, just congratulations to all of you. You did a great job. I think we're all very impressed with what you did here. Maybe another little round of applause for them. And you're only the part A. There's another 5 students coming tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. We're doing the same type of thing that we're doing here. So if you guys were impressed with what you saw tonight, come again tomorrow night. There's more great stuff coming tomorrow.